Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to why Canada is impossible to invade. Firstly, I'm very ill. I have tonsillitis, so that's why I haven't posted the last few days. I did go away last Thursday, and I basically made loads of videos in advance so I would not miss the days that I was away. And then when I came back on Monday, I was so ill, so I just couldn't post anyway. And you can probably hear a little bit of my voice that I'm still very sick, but I want to try and get one or two videos done today. So yeah, we're just going to go through it, and hopefully I'm not going to be dying on camera, but yeah, it's pretty rough. So anyways, we're going to be jumping into, I think I said the title, why Canada is impossible to invade. And yeah, we're just going to jump straight into these sorts of reactions. And I've seen that you guys have been enjoying these sorts of videos, so I'm going to be doing lots more reactions to Canada and also maybe Mexico and other countries across the planet, across the world. But yeah, just get suggesting what you'd want to see, and I'm sure I'd be up for doing it because I do love, like, sort of, whether it's geography videos or just learning about different cultures and countries and this and that. Bloody hell, my voice is already gone. But yeah, we're going to jump into this. Hopefully you're all doing well, and let's see why this is the case. I'm going to assume because Canada obviously is surrounded by massive oceans, and also it's just very big. It's probably partly why it's impossible to invade, but let's just see how this is the case.
They say if you ever get lost in Canada, just walk straight for 3 days. You'll still be in the middle of nowhere. But what if someone tried to invade this vast wilderness? Not just visit for maple syrup or hockey, but conquer it. On paper, it might seem doable. But in reality, it's like trying to tame a polar bear with a polite handshake. Today, we explore why invading Canada isn't just a bad idea. It's practically impossible. Canada is the second largest country on Earth, stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific and up to the Arctic. That's nearly 10 million square kilometers of rugged, often unforgiving terrain. If you laid Canada over Europe, it would cover from Portugal to Moscow, with space left for dessert. This is a land carved by glaciers and...
I would argue that it's not actually touching Portugal here, is it? Portugal's like here. So it's from Spain to probably further than Moscow, to be fair. I guess if you moved it down, it probably would be to Moscow, but I'm sorry to be that guy. In this image here, it doesn't show that.
Portugal to Moscow, with space left for dessert. This is a land carved by glaciers and ruled by seasons that don't believe in mercy. From the jagged peaks of the Rockies to the endless boreal forests of Ontario and Quebec, to the remote tundras of Nunavut and the Northwest Territories, Canada's terrain is a logistical nightmare for any would-be invader. Now add the weather. Canada doesn't have winter, it has winters. Plural, each one colder, windier, and snowier than the last. Blizzards that can swallow highways whole. Wind chills that can freeze exposed skin in minutes. Military hardware doesn't just have to operate here, it has to survive. Tanks and armored vehicles bog down in marshlands or freeze solid in the north. Aircraft face ice storms and whiteout conditions. Supply chains would stretch for thousands of kilometers across empty wilderness, exposed to ambushes, mechanical failure, and frostbite. In many parts of Canada, there are no roads, no towns.
Is this Canada? This surely is not Canada. This looks like somewhere other than Canada.
Just silence, snow, and the occasional grizzly bear giving you the side eye. An invading army wouldn't just be fighting defenders, they'd be fighting the land itself. And the land has home field advantage. This isn't a country you just march into. It's a country you get lost in. A country that hides its population behind layers of forest, mountains, and permafrost. A place where satellites lose signal, where boots freeze to the ground, and where even Google Maps says, "Good luck, buddy." Don't be fooled by the friendliness. Canada's military is no pushover. The Canadian Armed Forces might not be the largest in the world, but they are incredibly specialized and strategically prepared. Canada's geography has shaped a military that thrives in the extremes. Its troops train in some of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, from Arctic tundra to dense forest. The Canadian Army may not parade down boulevards with tanks every week, but they excel in rapid deployment, cold weather warfare, and peacekeeping operations. They're the quiet professionals of the North. The Royal Canadian Navy is undergoing a major modernization effort, with new Arctic and offshore patrol ships already joining the fleet. These
damn.
vessels aren't designed for beach landings. They're built to patrol the icy passages and defend Canada's massive coastline, including routes that are
See, that's one thing. I guess having a massive coastline probably isn't actually a good thing, is it? Because it's just more areas to be hit by. I guess the advantage is the coastlines are surrounded by massive oceans, and also a lot of the coastline are regions that no one really lives, and also to move around in these areas where the coastlines are, it's just going to be very hard because, like they said, it's mountainous, it's forest, it's snowy, it's cold. So I guess, yeah, that is partly where the strength comes from, and it makes it a lot harder. So yeah.
increasingly accessible due to climate change. And let's not forget the upcoming Canadian surface combatant ships, which will bring cutting-edge firepower and versatility to the seas. In the skies, CF-18 Hornets continue to provide air sovereignty, but they'll soon be replaced by advanced F-35 stealth fighters. These aircraft will significantly boost Canada's ability to detect, intercept, and engage hostile threats at long range. Meanwhile, unmanned aerial systems are being integrated into surveillance roles, providing real-time intelligence over remote territories. Then there are the Canadian Rangers, a uniquely Canadian asset. This force, made up of Indigenous people and Northern residents, serves as a living, breathing sensor network across vast remote regions. They know the land like the back of their hand and can spot intrusions long before any drone or satellite can. Canada's military strategy isn't about overwhelming force. It's about strategic deterrence, rapid mobility, environmental mastery, and leveraging alliances. An invader wouldn't just have to beat the CAF in battle, they'd have to survive the land, the climate, and a military that was built to defend exactly this kind of terrain.
It's a fair point.
Here's where things get even trickier. Canada doesn't stand alone, not even close. In fact, it has one of the most robust alliance networks on Earth, turning any potential conflict into a diplomatic minefield. First, there's NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, a binational agreement between the United States and Canada that effectively merges their air defense strategies. This isn't just symbolic. It means that the skies over Canada are protected by both Canadian and American forces. If hostile aircraft try to breach Canadian airspace, U.S. jets could be scrambled within minutes. That's like installing a second alarm system and handing your neighbor a shotgun. Then there's NATO. Canada is a founding member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a military alliance built on the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all. So if you invade Canada, you're not just fighting one country, you're fighting over 30, including military heavyweights like the US, the UK, France, and Germany. It's like picking a fight with the quiet kid in class, only to find out he's got 30 older brothers who all lift weights. And don't overlook Canada's extensive defense partnerships in the Indo-Pacific and Arctic regions. It's part of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, which includes the US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand.
Damn, it's part of a lot of different groups then.
A group known for sharing some of the most sensitive surveillance and cyber intelligence on the planet. Canada also participates in
That is quite fascinating how all of those 5 countries, I guess bar Canada because it's French and English, but all of those countries, I'd say the most spoken language is English. I wonder why that is. It just gives you an easier connection or like more trust because you speak the common language is pretty much the same throughout.
National exercises, peacekeeping missions, and defense research collaborations. This global network ensures that Canada isn't just defended by geography or its own military. It's backed by a web of international commitments, treaties, and friends with serious firepower. So, to invade Canada is to declare war not only on a nation, but on an entire ecosystem of military and intelligence cooperation. It's like trying to take over a beehive.
Wait, what the
System of military and intelligence cooperation. It's like
is that a laser? What the fuck?
Trying to take over a beehive and being surprised when the swarm comes after you. Canada's population is concentrated.
The analogies are special.
Along a narrow strip near the US border. Sounds easy, right? Just take the cities and win? Not quite. First, you'd have to conquer major urban centers like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal, each a logistical nightmare with millions of potential resistors. And then you'd need to hold them, while also patrolling a wilderness so vast, even satellites get confused.
That's beautiful.
And remember, Canadians are polite. until they're not. Resistance wouldn't just come from the military. Local communities, indigenous groups, and trained reservists would create a
Here's a question. Like, in terms of, like, because obviously in America, gun control, like, pretty much everyone owns a gun in America. In Canada, is there any sort of, like, similarities there? Or is it like the UK where literally no one owns guns other than, like, farmers and stuff like that? I'd assume there's probably a few more people in Canada that own guns just because it borders America, and I'd assume just because of that it makes it a little bit easier. Although the laws are, I assume, going to be completely different. I just feel like that would just filter in a little bit. But yeah, what are the laws around like gun ownership and stuff in Canada? Is it more like the UK or more like the US?
Centralized nightmare for any occupier. Plus, trying to take Tim Hortons away from a Canadian. That's how real insurgencies start. Canada isn't isolated. It's deeply woven into the global economy, especially with its southern neighbor. The US and Canada share one of the largest trading relationships on Earth. Any threat to that would instantly trigger economic shockwaves. The invader wouldn't just face bullets, but billions in retaliatory sanctions and global condemnation. Canada's reputation as a peaceful, cooperative nation means it has a lot of allies willing to step in economically and diplomatically. An invasion wouldn't just be a military blunder, it would be a global PR disaster. Canada's strength isn't just in numbers, it's in eyes and ears. With a robust satellite network, cutting-edge radar arrays, and Arctic surveillance drones, the country has a watchful eye over its enormous territory. Plans are underway to expand submarine capabilities and upgrade air defenses with next-gen fighter jets. Canada might be quiet, but its tech game is loud and clear. In modern warfare, information is power, and Canada's got one of the most underrated information networks in the Northern Hemisphere. Let's review. A colossal landmass, bone-chilling climates, a battle-hardened military, global alliances, a spread-out but stubborn population, economic entanglements, and a high-tech defense grid. Invading Canada isn't just difficult, it's absurd. Unless your invasion force can ski uphill, fight in -50, and somehow dodge NORAD, NATO, and a few million very annoyed Canadians, it's not going to happen.
Couldn't you argue though? I feel like Canada isn't -50 throughout the entire year. It's probably not really -50 much at all. That's very, very cold, isn't it? At points it probably is in certain regions. But realistically, like when it's summertime, Canada gets quite hot. I don't know how like the northern regions are in Canada, if they're still snowy throughout the summer. I'd assume some of them probably are because they are so far north. But I assume that whole weather one is sort of circumstantial and it's not all year round. But even then, I guess the weather is just a lot more intense for a longer time throughout the year. Yeah. As a Canadian myself, I'm highly fortunate to live here, but if anyone is brave or foolish enough to invade here, I will fight to my last breath to defend our home and native land. The true North, strong and free. Thanks for the video. As a Canadian, I'd also like to remind people that it's not a war crime the first time and that we really like our trench raids. We don't want to fight at all, but if we have to, we will defend. Well, there we go. This is a little look into Canada and I guess its military strength and its sort of its location and how it benefits its defence and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's a fascinating video. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.